It's still morning here in California, so I'm going to say good morning, and thanks for joining us today. I'm going to be taking you through a fairly high-level overview of the Dynamic CRM solution, and we're going to start off looking at just talking about some definitions, just so that as we're walking through the presentation today, we'll be speaking the same language, and I think that's really important. I'm also going to briefly touch on Dynamic CRM and Microsoft Outlook, and we'll talk about how those work well together, and then we'll just go into a sample sales process and a sample service process and kind of work through end-to-end on how that would look kind of in a sample scenario. So let's start with our definitions. We're going to start off with a lead, and a lead is a potential customer who's not been qualified by your sales process. So that's really the list of names that you market to that really aren't customers, but you want to stay in contact with them, and you want to keep building that relationship and hopefully move them into that potential customer category. An account is a company that your organization does business with. Take note here that it doesn't mean it's a customer. An account can be anything. It can be a vendor. It might be someone who you have a referral relationship with. So it really doesn't necessarily have to be a customer. A contact is an individual related to an account. So the account is the company and the contact is the individual. We'll see a lot today, a lot of conversation about tasks and activities, phone calls, emails, appointments, things like that, that kind of drive your business process. And so you'll see how all of that interfaces with the various records in the CRM solution. We'll also be looking at an opportunity, and that's a potential sale. So that's the point where you've qualified that lead enough that you think there's some value, and you can probably put some dollars to that value and start pushing it through your pipeline. And the last definition is workflow. We'll talk a lot about that today as well. And what workflow is the automation of a business process. Dynamic CRM is highly configurable. And so allows you to set up those workflow processes to do pretty much anything that you want. There are a couple of different ways to deploy Dynamic CRM, and one of them, or access Dynamic CRM, I should say, and one of those ways is through a browser, which is the way that we're going to be looking at the information today. But I wanted to point out that you can also deploy or access using Microsoft Outlook. And so you can see that this is just my normal Outlook interface, and I've got some emails here, and you can see here, Tony Stark, this is just my Outlook reading pane. So I'm looking at an email. I can see by these characters here, by this icon, that this is tracked in CRM. You can see Steve Rogers is not. When I choose to track in CRM, I don't have to do it over and over again. It does it the first time. It remembers that that's a tracked contact, and anytime an email comes through from that contact, it will automatically track it. And I can drill into the details of these records as well. So, for example, if I'm looking at Tony Stark here, I can see in this yellow area, here's me as the user, and here's Tony Stark, and if I click on him, it's going to pop up his contact record, which is also tracked as well. This is being tracked from Outlook as well. I can track tasks, so all of those activities that we saw earlier, emails, phone calls, that sort of thing, those can all be tracked as tasks inside of Outlook, as well as any calendar appointments I can associate as well, and with those same sort of capabilities. So in this case, this is an opportunity, and so if I clicked on that link, it would open the opportunity for me. So you can really do all of your work within Outlook. If that's something that your organization does, it makes it a lot easier to learn, you know, a new solution if your users already know how to navigate through. So we're going to be walking through a couple of processes today, and the first one is a sales process. And I want to just kind of briefly talk through this, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do it live. So what we've got here is we've got sources for our leads, and these are only examples. You might have a marketing campaign, you might have referrals, they might come from your website. You know, there are any number of ways, maybe a networking organization that you belong to. So there's a number of ways that you can maybe buy a list, that you can get leads. But whatever you do there, they become leads. And, you know, you're going to want to work those leads and take them through whatever processes that you have in place to qualify them. And once they're qualified, then CRM allows us to turn those into an account, a contact, and an opportunity. I can do any of those records, or all of them. And from that, then from that opportunity, I can also have quotes, orders, and invoices. And obviously, when I get to that order phase, that's really when I can hopefully consider that opportunity closed and won. And at the end of the day, what I really want to do, you know, is track everything that's happening via, and CRM allows me to do that via activities and workflow. So any activities relating to any stage in this process can be automated through workflow, and I'll show you a real basic example of that here in just a few minutes. When all is said and done and we're tracking our sales process, what we really want to do, the reason we track a process is because we want to measure our results. And you'll see, you'll actually see this exact dashboard, but you'll see how CRM allows us to capture everything that we need to capture, manage our business process so that we know that when we say something is in a specific pipeline phase, we know that's true and real. And then measure our results, you know, closed opportunities, that sort of thing. So let's get going on our sales process here. And so in my example, one of the items that we started with in order to obtain our leads was a marketing campaign. And so what I've got here is this marketing dashboard. And we're going to be doing most of our navigation from the dashboards today, just because it's a really easy way, I think, to move around in the CRM solution. Keep in mind that you know, I could come over here into this marketing area as well and access my campaigns from here. I'm choosing to keep things in my workplace and navigate through there. Everything that I need is here. Also be aware that I can create new dashboards, and this is actually, if the user has the appropriate permission, a user can create a dashboard. It's real simple to do, but we're just using the out-of-the-box dashboards today. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to actually fold up my ribbon here, just to buy me a little more real estate, so that you can see a little bit more of the information that's available in this particular dashboard. So I've got some campaign mix information, budget versus actual on my campaigns, lead sources, revenue generated by campaigns. That's important. That's really measuring my results. So there we go. Closed opportunities in the current fiscal year, and what campaigns they were generated from. And then I've got a list of all of my activities that I need to do. And so activities, again, tasks, phone calls, appointments, that sort of thing. And then a list of campaigns underneath. Keep in mind, this is completely configurable. This is just an example. So what we're going to do, I think we're going to start with this campaign mix type. And I can drill into this and get more information if I want. Maybe I want to see let's look at by, I don't know, let's do by campaign. We'll drill into this, and so we can drill and we can look at the 2 campaigns that made up that direct marketing. So that's the new customer campaign or new customer loyalty, and then a direct marketing campaign. But what I can also do, I'm going to go back to my original dashboard here, is I can do some, I guess, contextual business intelligence, I believe is what it's called. What I can do is take this information and really drill into details here. So you can see I've got my my chart here on the left, my pie chart, and these are all of the campaigns that make up the total of this pie chart. And you can see it's divided into 4 sections. As I click into each of these sections, so here's direct marketing. If I click into that direct marketing, it's going to show me only those campaigns that are tagged as being direct marketing campaigns. So, and the same with advertisement campaigns. The same with events. So I'm able to really get in here and see all of the details about a particular element in my chart. And from here, I can just click on any of the campaigns in that chart and bring up the details for that campaign. And so what we're looking at here is my product launch campaign. And you can see there's a lot of information that I can collect about this. I can see this is an event, and it's been launched. It's using the retail price list, and I'm expecting a 40% response rate. I can schedule dates on that, so I can use those dates to drive workflow and activities. So I can say, you know, if it's, you know, when it's 15 days after the proposed begin date that you see there, maybe we need to send a reminder to someone to do something. So I can build that into my workflow. I'm just going to come over here into my navigation area, and we're just going to start clicking in here. You can see I can collect some financial information about this as well. So that's where I can start to measure my budget and, you know, really understand the return that I'm getting on my different campaigns. I can do planning activities. I can have campaign activities. And so these might be, you know, letters or emails or phone calls or appointments even that I distribute out to the various members of my marketing list that I'm targeting. So in this case, this is the invitation to the product launch, and this is actually done via email. I can distribute this activity. I can use a template. So if I have standard templates that I use for the different, for emails or maybe letters that I send out, I can go ahead and include those here. And then I can just go ahead and fill in the rest of this information. When I click distribute, it's going to send that email out to the members of the marketing lists that are associated with this marketing campaign. In this particular campaign, I have a marketing list for Illinois leads, and so that's where I'm focusing all of my attention for this particular event. But I could have multiple marketing lists here, so I could be marketing to my customers, my potential customers, the individuals, the contacts that relate back to those customers as well. When we talk about marketing lists, in Dynamics CRM, there are 2 kinds of marketing lists. There's what's called a static marketing list, which means I just name the marketing list and then I manually pick the members of that list. There's also a dynamic marketing list, and that's what I've got here for my Illinois leads. And you can see that it says this marketing list is based on a query. And so if I choose Manage Members, it's going to show me, instead of showing me giving me the opportunity to add new members, it's going to show me the query that I'm using to dynamically add those members to this marketing list. So in this case, every time I have a new lead where the state is Illinois, it's going to automatically add it to this marketing list. And I can, of course, see the members of this marketing list based on that query. So I've got 3 people, 3 leads that are in the state of Illinois. And so when I distribute any campaign activities, those are going to go ahead and be distributed automatically to the members of this marketing list. I can also capture campaign responses. And so let's take a look at the one that we have here. So in this case, this particular person, and if I look down here, I can see that it came in via email, and I was able to promote that directly from Outlook. I could make this a campaign response. It's Illinois Design, and it's Jim Adams. And I can see then capture all of the information about this particular potential customer. I can also capture responses from an existing customer. The real process gain that I have here is as I'm capturing these responses, I can actually convert them and promote them through my process. So in this case, I might create a new lead, or I actually might create a new customer and promote it through my sales process. Keeping in mind that as I do this and as it moves through my process, this product launch campaign is going to be associated with that record forever. So I will always know how I eventually got that customer, and I can even measure based on the sales to that customer the value of that campaign. All right, so I can, just a couple other things here. I can also have target products, and so if I can capture the information about which products are being successful in which campaigns, then again, I can measure that results. I can also associate sales literature, so if I have some brochures and things like that that are going to relate to this campaign, I can store those here as well. So that's a marketing campaign, and that's how one way, I guess, that we can drive business and bring in new business into the organization. So I'm going to switch gears here. So we've collected our leads. I'm going to go to a different dashboard view here. We're going to be looking at the CRM overview dashboard, and this is the one that you saw on the slide there. And you can see, I'm able to measure my pipeline and look at customer service cases and view my activities, the things that I need to do on a given day. The one that we're going to be looking at here is this leads by source campaign. So I can look at this and figure out, where my leads are coming from and analyze this information. So, I can look at the 5 leads that I got from this direct marketing campaign. I can see the 2 that I have from the ad campaign. Let's pick this guy here. We're going to pick Bill. And this is Bill Down, who's the owner of Downtown Grill. And he's interested in an answering system. And so that's really all the information that I've collected from him. If I look at the details, I can see that the source was advertisement, and it's got a warm rating, and I can use workflow to drive the update of this rating if I want. And I've got some industries here. Keep in mind that all of the fields that you see within any of these records are completely configurable. You can change them. So if I have my lead source here, I can change the values in this lead source. I can take this off the screen. I can add new fields and new logic to CRM as well. So let's keep moving down here. Let's look at notes and activities. So I have the opportunity on every single record to add as many notes as I want, and so I'm gonna roll this up a little bit here. So I can add a new note, and I can say CRM webinar note. And so when I add that, you'll see it gives me a date and time stamp. who did it, and then if I add a new one, it'll be a new date and time stamp. So you can always see and track your notes. We also have this concept of activities. And activities, I'm going to click Add here at the top. And so activities are in this area here. It might be a task, an email, a phone call, a letter, fax, appointment. It might be a recurring appointment. So if you have to do preventive maintenance or something like that at a customer site, that would be an option for you to use that recurring appointment, as well as a service activity. So what we've got here is a phone call, and this was actually created as a result of workflow. And so I'm going to come down here real quickly. We'll talk about workflow. This is only an example, and workflow can really do anything and drive any process, create any record, move, change fields on existing fields on records, update values, whatever it is you want to do to drive your business process, you can do with workflow. And so what we've got here is a workflow that runs automatically when a record is created, and in this case a lead. So I configured this to create a phone call activity. And we'll look at the details of that here in just a second. And right now it's waiting. You can see it's in a wait state here. It's waiting for the initial contact to be completed, and then it's going to do something else. So let's go ahead and pretend that we made our phone call here. And we can actually just open this up and look at it. And so this is a call to introduce our products and services. Somebody made a typo, that would be me. Our products and services. And so this generates automatically. It's assigned to whoever it is I determine it should be assigned to. In my case, it's the lead owner. Every record has an owner, so this lead is assigned to someone, and this phone call is assigned to the person that owns the lead. Notice that this is due 7/28, so it's due a specific number of days after I create the lead. Now it's obviously past due, so I need to make this phone call. I can make any notes that I want to make here. I can add additional notes if I want, just in the exact same way that we saw on the lead itself. And then I can mark this as being complete. So I'm just going to click Mark Complete. And so now this is no longer an open activity. This is a closed activity. So you can see I don't have anything in my open activities here. But if I wait for just a second here, you can see now I do have an open activity, and it's a follow-up phone call. And that activity is scheduled for a specific number of days after the initial call is completed. So here's where I can start driving a business process. Maybe I have tasks. Maybe I need to mail them. There's an introductory packet that I want to put in the mail. I can have that set up as a task, as a part of my workflow, and then when it's done, I can mark it complete. And maybe there's another task or a phone call. Maybe a week later I want to make a phone call to make sure that they receive that introductory packet. So you can really drive your business process and measure your results based on that business process just by using workflow inside of CRM. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to close out of here. We'll leave this open. Incidentally, if I look at all of the activities for this particular record, I can see I have one that's been completed, and I have one that's still open. I can also see them separately if I come here just into this common area, and I can see follow-up to Downtown Grill, and then I can see closed activities. So hopefully you're able to see how you can drive your business process and get accurate measurements of the results of that business process using Dynamic CRM. So in kind of keeping through our sample process, we had that qualification process. So we're really only on like the second step on that particular on that graphic. So what I would want to do here though is ultimately at whatever point in my process I deem appropriate, so based on the rules in my business, I'm going to mark this as being qualified. And when I do that, it allows me to set up certain records automatically. So an account. So I can turn this into from just a name and an email address. I can actually determine that this is a qualified lead, and I'm going to make it an account, a contact, and I'm even going to create an opportunity so that I can start pushing that through my sales process. I can also disqualify a lead. So I can say, it's lost, it's canceled, they're not interested, they're out of business, whatever rules or statuses that I want to set up to apply to my leads when I disqualify them. Again, if I'm capturing the information, I can measure the results. Maybe I have a group of leads from a particular campaign that are not being qualified, they're being lost. And so if I'm capturing all of this information, it's there for me to evaluate, and possibly if I'm going to do another campaign, maybe I need to have a different approach or different follow-up or something so that I can reduce the disqualified leads for a particular campaign. So that's a lead, and that's also some examples of workflow, and I will likely be talking more about workflow as well as we're moving along here. So I'm going to come now into accounts because we've run our marketing campaign, we've captured some leads, we've qualified those leads, and now we've got some accounts. And so before we really dig into the details here, I want to talk about views. And so you might have seen me grab these drop downs and change them as we've been kind of manipulating the information today. So what this is a view. And you can see that there are a number of system views, and this is true for every single record type in CRM. So there's system views. And you can add to these as well just by configuring a new view and deciding who gets to see that view. But you can also, users can create their own views. And so what I've done here is I've created a view called Store. And my query is very simply, give me all of the accounts whose name has the word store in it. So the account name contains store. And so that is the query that I used to save this particular view. So what I'm going to do here, since we're going to be working in the view, I'm going to actually show my ribbon again. We hid that when we were working in our dashboards, but I want to show it again because you can see there's a whole lot of information available here. And there's a ton of actions that I can take against a particular record. So let's first talk about Excel. I can generate a query, pick individual records, whatever it is I want to do, and I can choose this Export to Excel option. One way that I can export data is with a static worksheet. And notice down here at the bottom, make this data available for re-importing by including the required column headings. So if I check this, I can send this out to Excel, make any math changes that I want to make, do some search and replace or whatever it is I want to do, and import it back in very quickly, very easily, no data mapping required, it comes right in. You can also do a dynamic pivot table. Now, dynamic means as the information in CRM changes, this pivot table will change as well. And the same is true for the dynamic worksheet. So as new, in this example, as new stores are added, those stores would be added to that dynamic worksheet. So a pretty tight integration with Excel, as you would expect. It's all Microsoft. Now, while I've got these all checked, I want to talk about another kind of campaign that you can generate through for any of the records in CRM. So I'm just going to click Add, and that's a quick campaign. So this isn't really a formal marketing campaign. It's, I don't know, maybe today I want to call all of the stores, all of my clients, all of my customers who are stores. So I'm going to pick all records, and we're just going to walk through the wizard here. So I'm just going to make something up here, and we'll do phone calls. And I can assign them to the owners of the records. So if I've got 5 records here and 5 different people are responsible for those records, each one of them would be assigned one of these phone calls. I'm just going to assign it to me because I'm the only one in my demo system here. But here I can create the information that's necessary to make those phone calls. We can call this CRM webinar calls, and then whatever it is I want to enter as maybe the script for those phone calls goes here. And so now what it's going to do for me is it's going to create 5 phone calls. Now, from an individual perspective, individual record like a lead or an account, you saw how I can open up a record and look at the activities for that record and then do all the things that I need to do, the activity for that particular record. That's really not efficient because I have to know that I need to access that lead or account. Where I would probably want to spend the majority of my time is in the activities area of my workplace. And what this does is it gives me a view, and we saw the views here earlier. It gives me views of all of my activities, and incidentally, here are the 5 phone calls that we just created. And from here, I can filter these down. I can say I want to see all of the phone calls that are assigned to me, and then I can filter them further by due date if I want to. So here's all my phone calls, and I can filter all of the overdue phone calls, which would probably be all of them. And so I can just call down on the list now and go through the activities that I need to go through in order to keep these opportunities and leads and accounts moving through my sales process or my service process as well, because if I'm assigned customer service, those would show up here as well. But these are specific to the individual. So this is my to-do list. So let's go back to our accounts, and let's look at Variety Store, and we'll walk through a few account-specific items here. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I've collected a whole lot more information about an account than what I might have relating to a lead. So that's the first thing. I know more about them. They're further along in the process. So I can also see the contacts that are associated with this. So as many contacts as I want. I have one primary contact. Yvonne is my primary contact. I can view my notes and activities. Now keep in mind that if I have a lead and I have within that lead, as a part of qualifying that lead and moving it through to an account, I've gone through certain activities. I've had phone calls, I've had emails, I've had appointments, I've sent them letters, I've completed tasks. All of that information is going to carry through as that record goes through its life cycle. All of the activities that I've ever had, interactions that I've ever had, will stay with that record. So even though it changes status, the activities still come with it. So I can always see what happened in the past. I can also have sub-accounts, and this might be, I always like to mention this. I can have accounts that relate to one another. And so if, you know, a good example of that is if you've got a store, a regional customer that has different locations where they're all separate accounts by themselves, but then as well they have, you want to see the association rolled up, and so you can do that in CRM as well. So I'm going to move over here into opportunities because we want to talk about that, and I can see I have 2 opportunities here for Variety Store. Both are in progress. So let's look at this first one. We'll expand their offering to include some of our products, and so we've qualified this as being having a dollar value first of all. So that's one way that in my process, that's one way that I know that something is ready to be an opportunity. Now an opportunity can be for an existing customer as well. It doesn't have to be for a new customer. It's because it has a dollar value, and that dollar value in this forecast can be user provided, and that's what we do at Socius, is we just drop an estimated revenue number in there. Or it can be system calculated. And if it's system calculated, it's based on line items. So here, I've got a conference call phone. They're $100 a piece, and Variety Store wants to buy 100 of them. And so it's extended that amount out to $10,000. So this is an actual product. This is an inventory item that I carry in my inventory, and I'm collecting information and selling this particular item. I can also have write-in products. So if you have special products, that you want to add into that, maybe a service, a one-time service or something like that, you could include that as a write-in product as well. Ideally, I want to go ahead and generate quotes out for my customer, because that means they're interested enough to ask me for a quote. And so I can take this opportunity, and if I'm just going to click in here, add a new quote, and it will take all of the information from my opportunity and populate that quote. So in this case, we've got all the line items, all of the products that were included in the opportunity is also included in the quote. And I can add additional if I want, and go ahead and build the quote further if I choose to. One thing that CRM allows us to do is version control with our quotes. And so I can activate this quote, and once I activate the quote, I can't change it. I have to revise it. And so you can see these revisions here. It will keep track of all the revisions for me. And as I'm building that quote and making changes and adding product and changing prices and all the things that I need to do to get the customer to agree, once they agree to that quote, I can actually create an order. And here's where we start talking about ERP integration, sending that order back to ERP for fulfillment, and then bringing the invoice, the resulting invoice, back into CRM to record that as well. So, from an integration perspective, you can customers, products, salespeople, customer addresses, orders, invoices. Those are all kind of standard integration points between a CRM and ERP application. So the idea with my opportunity at the end of the day is I want to close it, and hopefully I'm closing it as one. And when I close it as one, it's going to capture everything for me. It's not going to let me close it because there's an active quote. But I can actually record the revenue and the close date. Again, that goes back to measuring the results and keeping my pipeline up to date and things like that. So remember, with our workflow, I can actually use workflow to keep track of the probability. So if certain tasks have been completed, maybe my probability increases, maybe my pipeline phase changes based on tasks that are completed within this opportunity. So you can really kind of take the burden of updating, going in and having your salespeople update these probabilities just by building a business process or a sales process using workflow and activities. All right, so we won the deal. So that kind of that takes care of that sales process. So there's one more, I'm going to go back to my deck here. There's one more process that I want to talk about, and that's the service process. And when we talk about service in Dynamics CRM, we can be talking about two, possibly more, but generally speaking, two different areas. The first one is just general customer service. I can't find my order, it didn't ship. I have a question about my bill. All those sorts of interactions that we have with our customers on a regular basis. You can take it one step further to the second type, and that is actually servicing a product. And so that's the service activities that you see here. So I'll touch on those briefly. But typically, your cases, your service actions are going to be instigated by a phone call. Maybe they'll log a service request on your website. They'll send you an email. And you can promote and change all of those to a case. And that's really what the customer service actions or records are called in Dynamics CRM. We call them a case. And within each case, then we can have those same activities. We can build workflow. We can use the knowledge base, which I'll show you. And then we can have service activities as well. And again, at the end of the day, we want to close that. We want to resolve the case. And so let's take a look at that process. And let's go to we're going to use a dashboard again here. We'll look at our customer service operations dashboard. Actually, that's not the one I want. Let's try the representative dashboard. See if I have a little bit more information here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So I can see here my case mix by origin. And so I'm going to start with that here. And let's take a look at the different cases I have. Some of them came in by phone, some by email. Let's look at this one. Here's one that says damage during shipment. So this might be a type of case that you might have on a periodic basis. Keep in mind again that all of these fields are configurable. But in this case, I'm saying this was damage during shipment. I can apply a different type of subject to this, and I'm just going to drill in here. So this is service. If it related to a particular product, maybe I could indicate that here. I can keep track of all of the notes relating to this case. So if there's a note I want to include, all of the activities, so any phone calls, emails, appointments, anything that relates to this particular case, I can capture all of that information. I can also use a knowledge base. And so maybe if it's damage during shipment, I want them to return it. So hopefully I've got something out here. So here's a knowledge base article that I have that talks about return authorization. So I'm going to include this on my case. And if I choose show article, you can see here's the instructions for a returning product. Obtain a number, package it for shipping, write the RMA on the box, and ship the product. Allowable credits will be issued once the product has been received and inspected. I can email this directly to my customer from here, so that we're talking about the same thing, we have the same things on our screen, and I can take them through the steps that they need to go through in order to return the product. Now, if I am not able to resolve this case, I could actually create a service activity, and that's where I start to manage my resources, which are the individuals within my organization, and their calendars, to be able to schedule them to go on site to service a particular product. And again, if you have a service activity that you've associated with the case, it's going to show up relating to that case, relating to that account as well, to that customer. At the end of the day, of course, we want to resolve the case. And when we resolve it, we can record a resolution, and we can also record any billable time that might be associated with that you can then filter out the resolved cases for a particular period of time, export them to Excel, and maybe pull them into your billing system to actually bill your customers where it's relevant for their action, for the service actions. So that is Dynamic CRM. I believe we've looked at all of the components. We've looked at the sales component. We looked at marketing in the very beginning, and we've looked at the service component as well. So hopefully you've seen some value in what we talked about today. If you're ready to move forward, definitely get in contact on our website for a business strategy assessment. Also, continue to attend our webinars. We have a number of webinars for all of our product lines, and you can find that on our website under events.